You want to go or should I?
You
Because
go.
last I
It'll be
listened
fun.
I listened to the last one and we both went at the same time
Okay,
and
you
it just
go.
became really awkward.
Yeah, so you go. That will be
Okay,
fun.
I go. Well, you're gonna listen to a group conversation, a sum up of the third season with Helena, Özlem, and Bella, and myself, Caspian.
Yeah,
That's what's in the pipeline for you.
that's what's in the pipeline. And surprisingly, or maybe not so surprisingly, this also turned into a meandering conversation that took us to places that we might, or I definitely didn't think we would end up. Um, Partly because these group conversations are the only conversations in this series where there's actually a bit of an agenda. There is a topic to explore, which is the topic of being in the podcast and how that is and how what's the effect, etc. And still, the meanders are so welcome. Um, so, yeah, I
And I think
think
yeah, you go.
go, you go.
No, I think they wouldn't be very interesting if we didn't have the meandering, because if we didn't, it would just be a conversation about having a podcast that we record for the podcast. Um, and we ended up in some very interesting on some very interesting meanders this time around.
Yeah, yeah, as always. So I hope everybody has a good time spending this next, well, 1.5 hours or so with me, Caspian, Bella, and Özlem. Hi, Bella and Özlem and Caspian, who Caspian is my kind of my pod producer, you can say, which sounds really fancy, but saves me the hassle of doing the technical stuff that I'm just not interested in doing. And Caspian very graciously helps me with this. And he also helps me with these group conversations because I, for the 2 first seasons, I invited him in to kind of to facilitate the conversations because these will be, we're having 2 group conversations. So these will be a little bit more actually having a little bit of a purpose, even though it's quite meandering anyway. But the purpose of it is to kind of see what our experiences have been over this season of conversations, and if there's anything that comes from that kind of. So there we go. I kind of
There we go.
leave it in Caspian's capable hands.
My capable hands.
Yes,
What
very
if I left
capable
those at
hands.
home? I mean,
Well, you're home. So you're good to
that's
go.
true. That was, I mean, the order that Helena has put in for these last episodes from me um, has been um, to reflect upon the or reflect on the experience of having these conversations with Helena, being on a podcast. Because I think for almost all of the people that you've had on, it's been the first podcast ever.
Yeah, except Andy, who was
Yeah,
really well versed and possibly Reddy has probably been on a couple.
exactly.
Um,
But
but
for most
otherwise,
most people, it's basically the first time recording a conversation. Um, so we're gonna speak a little bit about that, but also just in general the conversations and the experience of having had these conversations with Helena. Um, and I like to see it or sort of do it chronologically. So start from the beginning, inviting all of you or all three of you both of the three of you, uh, to reflect on your expectations before you started. So what was your thinking when you got the invite before and during the first conversation? Um, Sort of before it all started. What were you thinking, feeling, pondering? Um,
Fearing maybe.
I mean, I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, but
Go or should I go
Go ahead. I'll go
ahead?
after you.
Well, um, the other day at work, someone said, Özlem, we have an idea, but we already know that you're on board because that's the kind of a person I am. I just I just do things and I don't think about it. I just jump into it. So it was pretty much the same with this. It was never done a podcast, but I was curious about it. And I just jumped right into it without knowing. And I actually it all works out when you do it that way because you don't have any expectations, you don't get the chance to have any fears. Just show up and be yourself. And the funny thing with that it was that at the end of the first conversation, Helena said, "So we have four more conversations. This is the first one." I'm like, "What? Four more? What are you talking about? I thought this was the only one." Uh, but then a couple of seconds later, all right, let's do four more. And then for the second conversation, I was thinking, what the hell are we going to talk about? Because I felt like we just emptied everything in the first conversation, but there was so much. And then at the end of the fifth conversation, that we had the other day, I was thinking, is it already over? There's so much more to talk about. So
mm,
that journey was, I thought, was pretty cool. And also being a part of a pod makes you sort of forget that the microphone is there and that people's going to listen to you, but at the same time you have it somewhere in the background, so you think about what you're going to say, not in the essence of it hindering who you are, but just like you try to keep it to the topic, so you don't go off like you do in another conversation. So I think that was pretty fascinating that you forget that the microphone is there, that people listen to it, but at the same time you are in like an auto tune or autopilot that makes you sort of think that other people is going to listen to it. So you have to have some kind of a follow some kind of a conversation thread in a way. So those I don't know how to explain, it, but they go against each other, but more that they complement each other in a way.
Mhm.
mm,
Yeah, that
mm,
that
mm,
was that was me. Bella, over to you.
So I really identify with a lot of the things you said, Aslam. Um, I am a musician, so I have recorded myself and I have recorded conversations multiple times because sometimes conversations I have are so emotionally charged that I want to revisit later and hear it again when the emotion has kind of burnt itself out. So for me, being on a podcast, I think I was excited to dive into it and experience it and curious about it, like yourself, Aslam. Um, I was more concerned about privacy. And I remember being very nervous about how much of my own personal journey do I want to put out there on the wide forum that this can be. Um, and yeah, you stick a microphone in front of me and I automatically like sort of get nervous. And just like Aslam said, by the end of it, I forgot that the mic is there. It's just like another object in the room. So it really, and I've experienced that as well with recording myself playing music. You start and you're really sort of conscious of what comes out, and then you kind of just get tired of being conscious and
mm,
kind of let go. Um, what was different for me was I actually was able to let go of this sort of background consciousness of people are going to listen. And enjoyed not worrying about that. Enjoyed being a little bit more tangential and sort of let's see where we are in a moment. And I think that was because of how Helena presented this structure of these are meandering conversations. There isn't a topic, there isn't a specific purpose. The goal is to see where we are. And at first, that felt slightly disorienting, just like you. And later on, I really truly enjoyed that freedom that that gave as well. I always enjoy deep conversations with friends. So this was for me an opportunity to dive deeply and quickly and bounce thoughts off of each other in a way that made us both think. And I love that. It's to me, that's an essence of a wonderful connection.
Mm.
Mm.
And for that purpose, I really, really, really enjoyed it. I also am very aware of how Zoom unintelligent I am, but like yourself, Elena, I don't feel like I really want to bother with it in a sense. Like that's not the first priority I have. There are so many people around me who are better than me that why would I even go through it when I could be using my time otherwise? So that was my experience.
Mm. It's quite lovely to hear, and I've come to you two differently. I met Özlem, what was it, in the fall of 2019 or 2019? It has to have been because it was
Pre-COVID. I don't know if it was 2019 or
pre-COVID.
2018, one of them.
2019.
Yep.
In a leadership training, and I thought Özlem was interesting. He was one of, I don't know, we were 15, 20 people or something. And he was like, I came with some interesting insights and stuff like that. And then we've kept in touch. We've had a few conversations here and there.
You're one of the few people that I thought about going out and having a beer with, and I don't even drink beer.
And I don't even drink beer either, so that would be really fun.
I was like, I want to hang out with her. She's cool.
Yeah.
Can I please be a fly on the wall? Just for you two,
When we go
the
out
two of
having a
you.
beer without having a beer.
Yeah, I have like 3 occasions in my life that I've been intoxicated, so I think that would be a good entertainment for you, Caspian.
I mean, from the get-go, just finding a bar that which bar is good, and both of you just standing around looking like,
Have no idea.
Yeah, that's what we would do.
There's got to be one somewhere.
We'd find a cafe and I'd have a cup of tea. That
Yeah,
would work.
I have a fruit juice or something like that, probably.
Yeah.
I just love Caspian.
Well, I don't even drink coffee or tea either, which is a big burden when I go to my
I
home
don't
country.
really either, but I drink herbal tea. So
Yeah,
I
well,
have mint in my tea, or mint from the garden. So
Yeah.
Özlem,
do
what is
that.
your home country?
I have a Kurdish background, and when you go home to people from Middle East, they always want to offer you tea, and I don't drink tea, and I always get offended. So I learned now to ask for water, and they'll look at me like I'm some kind of an alien. So sometimes I just say, yes, give me tea, and then they say, why
can
don't you drink your tea?
pretend.
Yeah, I know. It's yeah. That is how it goes.
That is how it goes.
Feel
Well,
for
anyway,
you.
me and Bella, I think we met a little bit over a year ago. I don't know if it was September of 2021, or something like that. In the Esther Perel discussion group, on the Facebook group for that, where there is a Saturday
women's group
women's
meeting.
group meeting on Zoom. And Bella, same thing. She was so interesting and wise, and I loved her input. So immediately after, I sent her a little note on Messenger saying, "Hey, you, I'd like to talk more with you." And here we are. Mm,
You have your like human conversation radar on constantly, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I'm good at collecting interesting people. It's a super skill. Or a superpower, maybe you say.
It is indeed. I mean, yeah, sorry, go, Aslan.
I was just gonna say also, I think I was more nervous of listening to the first podcast than I was on participating in it. I thought, oh, let's see what comes out of my mouth, and because afterwards I was so present in the conversation, so I don't have any memory of what we talked about, right?
Mm.
So I can't remember anything, and I still can't, to be honest. If you ask me what did you talk about, I don't know. We just talked. So I listened to it and I was like, this is pretty good. I'm like, wow, I should say this. And then immediately after that, I said that thing that I thought I should say when I was listening to it. I was like, I sound pretty good. Like all the things. So it felt like a deja vu, but still not. But that was more nervous. I was more nervous on listening, or the thought of listening to it than actually participating in it,
Mm.
because I had no idea what I had done. And like you said, Bella, it's there forever in a way, and anyone can listen to it. I'm like, what have I done? But it was cool. It was cool. So I was like, yeah, let's do one more.
Good.
That's nice.
It's funny because I had the exact same experience where I thought I was doing one conversation. So I wonder if that was by design.
No,
Yeah,
and it's so interesting. It's like, no, but I guess the 5 by 5, maybe I've like kind of just assumed that people would get that means 5 people, 5 conversations each.
No.
But I've learned how to clarify that. But you
guys
two are
aren't
the
even
only.
No, these weren't there was one more this particular
This
season.
season?
There was one more. I can't remember who it was, but there was one more person who.
Was it
So
Mandel?
after, I think Özlem was the first one, and I got a text from Helena saying,
Luke,
"Did I
probably.
just not
Probably. Yeah.
communicate this at all?"
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, maybe
Well-
you didn't, and then the second one, and I was like, I started to ask the same question as you, Bella. Are you just trolling people now? What's going on?
So, well,
Like, first was for free, then I'm gonna get you.
I've learned the lesson, so will make sure. I've invited 2 people for next season, which I think I might have a little bit of a break in between. But there's 2 people, and we will have a threesome conversation. But I made it extremely clear when I asked them. It's actually 5 conversations with you on 5 different occasions, and then there will be 4 other 5 conversations to go. So, thank you for that. Clarity is kindness, so
I don't
vow I will
know.
be kinder.
I feel like actually I would have been more overwhelmed had I known that there were 5. Whereas after the
Yes.
first one, I was like, okay, 4 more. I can do this.
Yep, I vouch for that as well.
Bummer. Caspian, what should I do?
You should just lure people in.
I think so too.
Hey, want to be on the podcast? Let's see. When's the next time we have 4 more? And they'll be like, what are you talking about? And then you have them.
Then I will have them.
Yeah.
Hook, line, and sinker. Yeah.
Because I don't know if I would have said yes as easily as I did if there was 5 conversations. I'm like, wow, what if the first one doesn't go well? Then you get all those thoughts, but now it's like 1 conversation. Let's give it a try. But 5, I'm not sure if I would have said yes.
But that's so interesting though, because I've learned this much. I have never invited someone whom I haven't already had at least a conversation with. So I vet everybody that way so that I know that, okay, there's some type of chemistry. We can keep a conversation going. It's not where, I say something and the other person answers with a yes and then silence and then there's nothing, you know. But somebody who's willing to dance um, in a conversation. So for me, it's like, well, I mean, if you want it, it doesn't matter if it's 1 or 5. It's like, that doesn't
Right.
matter because you know that we have good conversation, and then conversations will just be an extra bonus, but, well, we'll see.
Right, but not when you haven't had one podcast in your life at all, and then suddenly you're signing up for 5, on a go. But like I said, hey, it turned out beautiful, so,
Yeah,
let's just leave it at that, I think.
yeah, yeah.
I'm not gonna. No, but let's leave it at that for now. I just want to come back to what you both said about being sort of in your head about recording, because I think that's something that I don't know. I won't speak for you, Helena. I can just speak for myself. But I've done um, a number of recordings by now, to say the least. So I'm not as self-aware, and I don't really realize at all. My subconscious doesn't react at all from being recorded. Um, but I do remember there was, the TV show Big Brother,
Yep.
where they film everything. You've heard about it at least. Um, they have to psychologically vet the people that they take into the house, not only because of all the interaction with other people and sort of the social, the thing that we actually see and enjoy, but because people get crazy from knowing that they're recorded every single minute of every single day. So they've had participants, at least I know in Sweden, where people who've gone, bonkers shit crazy, starting to sort of see patterns in the house, coming up with conspiracy theories just because their cameras and their
Every
subconscious can't take it. Um, I don't want to say that that's what's happening to you, but I think it's an interesting sort of experience to have had, in just what you're saying, Özlem, pulling from opposite ends with saying, like, I'm not conscious of the mic. I'm not conscious of that people are gonna. It's not something that you think of every single second of the podcast, but at the same time, it's there in the back of your mind. Um, I just thought that that's an interesting take on it because I don't think we've had anyone bring that up before.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I have a thought about that actually makes me think how, in a sense, most of the time, unless I speak to my very immediate family, I always sort of have this in the back of my mind of what am I saying and how is it going to come around? And so, in that respect, I don't know that this was different because there was microphones on. Because I guess also as a musician, when I'm playing, there's me being in my head of the mechanics of what I'm doing, and at the same time, I strive to also sort of be conscious of the product I'm throwing to my audience. And there is this very same sort of split happening, like you mentioned, Aslam, where you're almost seeing it from two different angles at the same time. You're involved in physically making the music as well as being that fly on the wall on the other side of the room, hearing what is being cast out as a result, not connected to the physicality of the music making.
Mm.
And I guess that's just an experience because of what I do that has become so normal.
So for me, it is, you want to, how should I say, lose the focus on that the microphone is out and it's recorded, so you can be as authentic as yourself as possible, so that the people listening to it will enjoy a really good conversation. But meanwhile, you also want to perform in a way so it's a good conversation. I think that's and those that don't contradict each other. It's quite the opposites. They sort of like complement each other. Those two thoughts and navigating between them. And I thought that was a cool experience in that say.
I mean, I did, I don't know what, 220 Facebook Lives in a row, 2017, 18, something like that. And then I got a gig to be the host of a TEDx event here in Malmö. So I was the facilitator of that day.
Cool.
Yeah, that was fun. But it was interesting because when we were meeting up, we were rehearsing a couple of weeks before, and they wanted to film me saying something, etc. And I was just, I'd been sitting in front of my phone for 5 minutes every day for 200 plus days. So sitting in front of the camera was just like, this is just natural. And I did a similar gig the other day for Polynom, where I was also the facilitator of a day with 9 presenters and stuff like that. And the most common feedback I got was, "Wow, you just look like you're enjoying yourself up on stage." And it's like, I love it. It's like, because I feel so relaxed. Yeah, you look so relaxed. Aren't you nervous? It's like, no, I'm not. This feels very comfortable. And again, I actually do credit sitting in front of that phone for that many days in a row as one of the things that have gotten me just, it's like, it's not a big deal. I don't have to make it into a big something.
Yeah.
And I realize how much that serves me. So doing those things can really, widen your horizons, widen the things that I do and how I enjoy them.
I think you're onto something. Bella, you had your music, right? That you mentioned before that made you sort of easily come across. And I have a brief moment in my life where I was a child actor for the Swedish television, and doing like,
Wow.
yeah, we didn't talk about that. We need a sixth episode.
Funny
in a
that
way.
I did too, actually, in my home country.
So that gave me a lot of experience as well to just sort of like, not that I was a great actor. That's not what I mean. But I could easily forget that the cameras was there and just go into a role. And it's sort of similar here as well. But the role was me myself in a way. But you sort of like understand how to have it there or have it here and just be yourself.
Just be anyway.
Yeah.
So is it on Öppet Arkiv?
I'm not sure. This was in 1993, I think. So it was a while back. It's SVT, Swedish television.
It should be on Öppet Arkiv. Was it a series or a documentary?
Yeah, it was a TV series. TV series. It's like a Skånsk, where we are from, the region where we are, like a Romeo and Juliet thing. And I was the little brother of the girl playing Juliet.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I had like a little mini fro and really cute. And I had to live with that up until today. I can still hear the name that I was, the character name, up until my friends sometimes call me. But yeah, off camera, it was not as nice because I got recognized in our hometown. Yeah, but hey, it paid for my driver's license, so that was nice.
Mini celebrity. Oh, I'm
Yeah, I
so gonna
wouldn't
have
say
to
celebrity.
pick your brain a little bit more about this to see if we
Yeah.
can unearth an episode or two.
A moment that I have almost forgotten, but it came up now that you mentioned the TED and the Facebook and you with the music, and I thought, well, I have that. Maybe that's why I can sort of like find myself in that awkward situation where you're not used to being in.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and still feel quite comfortable in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I actually had the same experience. I think I was 6, and I was cast. My home country is Bulgaria, and I was cast in a children's program, and I was pre first grade because we started first grade at 7 back then, so mid-70s, and I I remember that being highly annoying because I had no idea how many takes one had to take in order
I
to get
know.
one good one.
And how much you wait.
Uh-huh. Exactly. So my memory of that was not like anything related to how I experience stage performance now. If anything, probably it was a bit of a hindrance because of the like very unglamorous annoyance of the hurry up and wait.
Yep. I agree. It's like a bucket
But
list thing, done.
yeah,
Don't have to do it again.
yeah. But on the other hand, I kind of wanted to also respond to what Helena said because I really relate to that. Um, there is a fear sometimes of being in front of camera, but the other side of that is exhilaration. And a really good performer will harness that side of it and will ride that exhilaration wave. And that's actually one of the things that engages your audience the best is them seeing you feeling at home brings them closer to the experience.
For sure.
And so I think that's probably why you're good at what you do because you actually get excited about it rather than fearful.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, and I think it's interesting. I know that I'm gonna be slammed by Helena from even bringing this up,
Oh shit! What
but
are you gonna say now?
Go on. Go on.
Right?
No, but I'm quite confident your first podcast recording was with me on my podcast.
Yeah.
It's not up anymore. That's she's been
Yeah.
on to me for 3
Yeah.
years about it. But I mean, there's a big difference in how you behave, and I'll see if I can get that up so people can actually compare
Good.
the comfortable or how comfortable you are
Yeah.
being in a recording now versus before. It was before you did your lives and everything. It was
Yeah.
you had almost no video, audio.
16, 17?
16, 17, something like that.
Yeah.
I think even, yeah, it might even been 15, 16. So yeah, a long time ago. But yeah, so I was thinking, now that we've spoken about the expectations and sort of meandering around that, I would like to hear your thoughts on the experience of being on the podcast, doing these 5 conversations, having the meandering conversations that you both said feel great now, didn't feel as as confidently about on beforehand, possibly. What what thoughts, feelings, have experiences, have these conversations brought up for you? All the both of the 3 of you.
Wait. Özlem, your mic is weird because, or is it just here? You start to speak and then you come.
Yeah, I think it.
There's a lag. Yeah. So
It's a
speak, but
technical.
say nonsense, and then you can start. Because now we can hear you.
Say nonsense.
Yeah.
Is it better? Is it better?
Yeah. We can hear. It's just the first 10 seconds. you're
Okay.
I
silent,
think
actually.
it mutes you when you don't speak, and then when you
Oh,
start
yeah.
speaking, it's not catching up as quickly as one would
If
like it
if only I knew what settings was on Zoom on a PC.
to.
Well, for me, like having a 9-year-old and 11-year-old with work, everything just going so fast paced, having these like an hour and a half, 2 hours of conversation, we could just slow down and really, really take your time and dig into the topics and dig in conversation was so needed and such a relief to do that. Like just to pause and just not be in a hurry. So that is one of the things that I enjoyed the most. Just taking a pause and be present in a conversation and not think about what's on the schedule, what needs to be done, what's on the to-do list, what to cook for dinner, what to do for work. And also started studying for some reason. I don't know why I started that um, as well. So I think that was nice. And just talk and go like in depth with Helena's help on conversations was it was such a nice discovery to just slow down and just talk about whatever comes up in a way. So the need for that was something I will cherish and take with me and try to realize again with someone else or just give a call to Len, I guess, in a way. So that is what I take with me as one of the biggest treasures and just the experience of being a part of a podcast, obviously.
Mm.
Hope that was what you asked for, Caspian.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Your experiences doing them and sort of what you've been thinking about feeling when doing all of them, and I think that's exactly what you bring up. The both
And,
the depth and pace.
yeah, and then before every conversation, like, oh, I don't have time for this, and then starting having the conversations, like, oh, I have so much energy now. Now I can do whatever.
Mm.
So that transition there before and then after, it was great. And all the other times I was like, I don't have time, but I need to do this because I need this. And then after I did it, it was like meditation almost. Maybe this is my kind of a meditation to just go in depth with topics rather than sitting because I can't just sit and think about nothing. I don't have the patience for that. But this was one way of just resetting the brain in a way and just starting all over and getting a fresh breath in your a fresh mental breath in a way.
Mm.
Hmm, that's lovely. Welcome to Meditations with Helena Roth
Yeah.
and friend. It's perfect. And I can say I feel quite many times I feel the same. It is this, okay, it's like you're kind of shoving away everything else. And you're just, okay, I can just be here. There's nothing else. So it's a good feeling.
I would have to say it's that for me, as well as I guess in the last couple of years, I've spent sizable chunks of time feeling a little bit mute
Mm.
and lots of thoughts just swirling like a vortex in my mind. And this was a really beautiful opportunity for those things to get voiced. And so for me, it was less of what am I going to cook for dinner and what some of that too, the schedule that is relentless, that the to-do list that is relentless. But it was more the inside vortex that got silenced because I got to voice it and I got to slow it down. And at some point, it just felt like a conversation with a friend, whether I was sitting on Zoom or taking a walk or having a glass of wine or a cup of coffee or I don't know, juice. So, um, that slowdown definitely occurred, but in a in a slightly different way, perhaps, than what Aslam described.
Mm.
And I think that's part of the beauty of these conversations for me is the way I experience my aspect of what you say there, Bella, is this thing that I hear, I connect dots in these conversations, and many of you, I don't know how many of these conversations I bring up therapy session with Dominic on Monday, it's like it comes up, but it is one way for me to process and connect dots and integrate, like ground myself in experiences or um, um, the evolution of me, the journey of being me in the world. And it kind of, there's room in these conversations um, to hear that and to hear myself say that out loud, because there is a difference in hearing the voice come out.
Mm.
Um, so it's very valuable for me.
And I think from with an outside perspective on having known you for several years, Helena, you've never written as little as you've done the
No,
past year.
no,
You've also not had as many structured conversations, I should probably say, even though they're they're meandering conversations. Um, and and on top of that, the periods where you haven't written previously for a month or 2 weeks or something, you've been miserable about it,
yeah,
which you haven't been this
no,
time around,
yeah,
even though it's been a long time coming.
yeah, it has. And for me, it's interesting because I'm just in the past few weeks, the urge, the bubbles that says, "Ooh, writing." So I actually have started to write a little bit again, which I enjoy, and maybe part of that actually is one of the reasons why I'm thinking that maybe I should take a little bit of a break, because I've done 3 seasons of these conversations. So that's 25 times 3 plus 2 group conversations on top of each of those seasons. I mean, so we're speaking about 81 long conversations, heartfelt conversations. So maybe a little bit of a break to make sure that I don't forget the writing either, because it is. And if I didn't do anything else, one, I don't want to do that, but there's so much writing that I could do based on these conversations, based on all of the little snippets, all of the things that we touch on in these conversations that I'm just not doing.
Mm.
And it's like it's starting to bubble in a way that it hasn't for a year.
Mm. Yeah, and I think that's an interesting. I don't know if Özlem and Bella wanna sort of. I'll throw something up, and if you want to, you could grab this. But I think it's what you've found with your writing, Helena, is a way of expression. It's your way of expressing yourself, and sort of, as you say, connect the dots, gather your thought, all of those things. It's a meditation. It's cleansing your head. Um, and as we just said, this is another way of doing that in another medium, um, which has been the preferred medium for the past year.
Yeah.
Um, but I think what a lot of people um, really need is to find their medium, and I think that's one of the greatest things about this podcast is that one, it's inviting people who haven't tried speaking like this before. Um, Two, it's doing it 5 times, even though you only invite people for a first conversation.
Well,
Uh, so you get a habit of doing it, and I think that giving an opportunity to explore another medium of doing all of that, declutter, connect the dots, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if you've anything to add to that, Özlem or Bella. Yeah.
So I think this is a lovely medium, and I think it's one of several necessary for the whole picture to emerge. Just like with you, Helena, you use writing, you have used this instead. So those are two different ways to achieve the same self expression that Caspian mentioned. And I find that for me, playing music is another way of achieving that self expression. And I think we could use regular reminders of how much of what we do day to day can actually be a medium of self expression if we make it be so. Because you can self express with cooking a beautiful dinner too.
Mm.
And you can self express with, I don't know, arranging your room in a way that feels pleasing and cozy.
Mm.
All those can be, if we took away the automation and the feeling of having a chore to do, all those can be enjoyed as a medium of self-expression.
100%.
Yeah, I think we're wired to be able to slow down, and we get less and less of that in our society today. Like, when we're back in the days when you talk about, hunter and gatherers, we slow down, and then we got up and we got some food, or we moved and then we slowed down. But we don't slow down so much today. So I think that's beautiful, Bella. How can we slow down with self-expression and find that in what we do, in the way we cook? I don't know, maybe in the way you clean. Look, I don't know, like just slow down a bit, not just going from time to time. Just like I have to finish cleaning up by 1 hour because then I'm going to do this. No, just slow down and do as much as you can in an hour, and then do the next thing. But be present while you do it. So how can we slow down and do self-expression? Uh, yeah, that is beautiful. I will take that with me
Mm.
in a way.
It feels
Yeah.
like society around us actually almost forces us to forget slowing down and forget being present in the moment.
And be
Because,
productive.
yeah, but we are actually more productive when we slow down.
Yeah.
Mm. For sure.
Yeah, there's the saying, I think it's a book by Richard Carlson, slow down to the speed of life. Which I think is just this. It is this where you get to land and your system can kind of ground itself or reset. This is also a type of reset, right? It's like, how do you just let everything settle? Um,
I usually say slow down to move faster. That is something that I use at work, and people don't understand what I mean. And like when you have a conflict, slow down, solve it, and then you can cooperate and work, collaborate more together instead of just going on like with my kids in the morning when they're running around. I'm like, slow down. What do you do? What do you want to do? I want to go to school. Yeah, well, what do you need? This and this. Where are there those things? And then suddenly things happen. So like, how can we just slow down and then you will move faster in a way, if that's your objection, or at least if that's your ambition. But you can also slow down just to be more present, and that is the next 2.0 version of that, I think.
For sure.
And I
For sure.
have to say that I really found a lot of value in doing these conversations as a reminder of that.
Hmm.
Because we all, much as we know that in theory, we all get sort of sucked into that vortex of production and doing and achieving and, ticking off boxes.
Mm.
And I think that's what I loved about the meandering quality of this. Nope, There is no boxes to tick. There's no, topic other than be here now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was on a tangent of that. I was reminded a couple of weeks ago when I was editing the podcast, um, that I used to be very passionate about media production, and I think Helena can sort of vouch for me here. Um, Passionate about the whole process, getting everything lined up, and I realized I'm not as passionate about it anymore. But then I realized a couple of years ago in a podcast conversation, a friend of mine said, "Well, passion is not something you have; it's something that you exercise. You do things with passion, and you can decide to do them with passion. Even though you don't have passion for it, you can sort of put your back into it. And I'm not very passionate about cleaning my house, but when I do it, I want to do it properly, so I do it passionately. And I think calm in sort of a lower pace is probably something that you could think of in the same way. Uh, you don't need to have calm, but you can do things with calmness. Um, you don't need to be a Zen master. You can just ask your kids to slow down a bit and do things with another pace.
This is interesting. I- like I did last time we spoke, and I'm like, hope my wife does listen to this. But she's a planning freak. Like she's a production manager. She just plans everything and it goes smoothly. But I don't see her wind down. Me, on the other hand, I just wind down, and suddenly, oh, I need to go. Where are all my stuff? And then I start gathering it. And sometimes I like lose things. Sometimes I forget. Sometimes I have to like move faster. She said, "Why did you plan it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just wanted to just chill." So we always have discussions there, and I'm not sure which one of us is right, but I'm suddenly realizing maybe I am the right one, and that I don't. That is not a conversation I will have with her, obviously.
Oh, I'm so gonna send her this link. Say, hey, you need to listen about an hour in.
And same with the kids, like the kid, like I'll leave them. Like if they forget their bag, they forget the bag. What's the problem with that? And she's like, no, they can't forget the bag. I'm like, why? Well, like they will understand that the world will come to an end if they forget their bag. They have to just survive without the bag in school. It's not a problem. So we always have these conversations, and I'm realizing now that maybe I am the insightful one here for once. Maybe, maybe. I still, as you hear, I doubt myself because she's always right, but maybe here she's not. In a way, yeah.
I have a lot to say about that.
Now we're getting into tankespjärn.
Yeah.
Um, so it's so funny because in my domestic relationship, I was your wife, the planner, the planning freak. And that really brings me to the whole concept of relationship being a dance that Esther Perel talks about a lot. That we fall into these roles.
Mhm.
That maybe if I had stopped planning a little bit, like I would, if I had planned 80% of what I tried to plan, my partner would have stepped in and planned the other 20. Or if my partner had proactively planned 20%, I would have gone to 50 because I didn't feel like it was all on me. Because I think we, each of us, actually have the planning freak and the relaxation person inside us. And it's more of a matter of which part of our character comes out in any interaction, depending on what the other person is doing, because it is all sort of like interactive.
Yeah, I understand, but in our case, it's more like she's the performer, and I'm just want to get it done in a way. So my way is not perfect. Her way is getting it perfect, and that's we don't meet there. And in one occasion, she had to like take 100% step back, and I had to step in 100%, and the world didn't go under. I managed really, really well. But it's just that when she's performing at that high level, I'm like, all right, if you want to be there. But that is not where I want to be, because I
But I
can't,
think
because I don't have it in me.
no, and
You
but
know,
I think that's precisely what Bella is speaking
yeah,
about. Really, I mean, we do fall into these roles, these ways of being, with like in the different relationships we're in.
yeah.
Where this is how I show up in this relationship, and this is how I show up in another relationship, and kind of, you know, rocking the boat now and again, maybe not a bad thing. Because it is like you say, Islam. Usually the world doesn't go under. Usually nobody dies. Usually the sky doesn't fall down.
Yeah.
For me, I have to say, I found myself a lot more relaxed about minutes and seconds in logging into conversations with you, Helena, because I knew you were on time. And so I
Mhm.
slacked a little bit. I
Yeah.
was a little bit late a couple of times. I was the flake. Whereas that
Which
would
is so
absolutely,
lovely.
but that would absolutely never happen in my domestic situation,
Mm.
because if I don't do it, it's not getting done.
Mm.
It feels like.
Yeah.
Whereas I can say that actually maybe I just need to not do it so the other party does it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what, Bella? That is happening in my life. Because my wife has stepped down a lot,
Mhm.
which gives me room to step up. And I've never been happier. And our relationship is much better now,
Mm.
in
Bingo.
a way, because we found somewhere where she has lowered and I have raised. But there was no room for me to raise before, because it was already done everything. And she's like, why don't you do it? But you already did it. Like, like I don't even get a chance to do it, but you have to be faster. But I am not. I can't, but she's slower now, and that's made given room for me, because now I can discover, oh, I need to take the dishes, and then I do it. I
Mm.
do it late at night. I put in some music and I just do it slowly in the kitchen while she wants to do it before she goes to bed, because I would stay up. So we sort of found the roles. But before, like, I didn't do it early because I it didn't feel right to do it then. I don't have problem to do it just before I go to bed, because that's for me to wind down taking care of the dishes.
Mhm.
So we have started sort of after 12 years understood how we do things in a way, and she's understood that I do it in a different way. But she has stepped down, gives me room to step up, and now we're better than ever. To be honest, can it be better? 100%. But it's better than ever, because she gave me room to step in,
Mm.
and I didn't experience that before. So I really believe what you're saying.
Also, I think like from the point of view of a person who is kind of high stress, high anxiety in a
Yeah,
lot of ways, that happens when I feel like I don't have a um trusted system in which I know that this will get done, whether it's now or at night, when it gets dropped. And so this is again a two-way dance of balancing, is how I see it.
yeah, yeah,
Because, okay, I'll step back. But if it gets dropped, I am back 120%, because
Yeah.
when I was
Why?
100, it didn't, because it
Why?
got dropped and there's consequences.
What kind of consequences? I don't. We. Oh, you are my wife right now. Why?
Yes. Except for
What if the
we could,
dishes are left there for the morning? What will happen?
it's not the dishes though. Yeah, my dishes get left for 2 days sometimes. It's okay.
So what gets dropped?
Um, if
Is it the behavior, or is it the result?
it's the it's it's the attitude. It is the teaching my child to be consistent with homework. Oh, we forgot today. Okay, you forget one day, but what if you forget 5 days in a row? Now it's not forgetting. Now it is a habit of just turning away and avoiding. And it's a
Yeah.
very, it's a, it. and this is not me speaking about your experience. This is me purely speaking about my
Yeah.
own, which could be very different from what you're going through, even though we sort of seem to find ourselves
Overlap.
in a
Yeah.
in an
But
overlap. But
yeah.
it's more like there is the immediate one-time thing, and there is also an underlying trend. And I am much more, personally, I am much more focused on what is the underlying trend? Where are we leading with this? Did we forget one day because we did it 7 days before that, and that one day, well, we forgot, no big deal. Or did we forget every single day?
Mm.
Yeah. Well,
And
the trend, obviously, yes, I understand what you mean, but okay, I have a 9-year-old. She can get stressed because she's starting to get late for school. She goes really stressful, and she runs and she screams and she gets really stressed. And I'm like, where does that come from? Like, what happened? The world will not come to an end if you get late to school one day, but for her it does, and I don't think that's healthy either. So then, like,
true.
so
Yeah.
how do you balance that in a way? I would obviously not want her to not go to school for 7 days, not do her homework, but she's already there. It's more like the opposite. We have to like teach her to just accept that sometimes you will be late and the world will not come to an end in a way. So where does that come
So
from?
that's your balance, that you're
Yeah.
dealing with a person who is high stress. My balance with my 14-year-old is that my 14-year-old will just kind of be like, oh, I'm late for school, I forgot my lunch, I missed the bus, come get me and drive me to school.
That's wonderful, I think.
Okay, you guys need to swap life for a week or two.
Oh, that's so funny. I love this. I absolutely love this.
But at the very end, who is happier? Who is more present? Who is more pleased? Who can just solve things as they come across and be flexible?
I don't think we have enough information to determine that, to be honest, because I think it's
Mm.
about underlying values.
Yes, I know, but what I'm trying to say is sometimes we focus so much on performance and forgot about well-being and behavior.
Yeah, but I mean, I've had
You
some of my
could-
happiest periods when I've been all focused on performance and achievements.
But that comes from inside.
Yeah,
That's what I mean. We need to give room
and it
for
doesn't for your 9-year-old.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you mean?
I mean, I was like that when I was 9. I can sort of my
Your
teachers
mom
thought
can vouch for that.
my teachers thought my mom hit me because I was so straight A and sort of
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
it
she
was
really
not her.
wasn't. No,
It was
no.
not her.
She
Not
was
that
the
she
one
was hitting, she was
calling
not.
me in sick because
Yeah.
I just couldn't.
Yeah,
So-
well,
so.
I could just I have an 11-year-old and she's quite the opposite from a 9-year-old. And, like we're not that different in our parenting. so it
No,
comes
it's
from
not that.
inside.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm just, and this is one conversation me and Helena had. Now I remember it, where I was actually you, Bella, and Helena was me. Remember that, Helena?
Yeah. Yep. I was saying, why do you, we were talking about parenting and I was talking about, do you actually, well, you have to, the kids have to do the homework and they have to go to school and they have to get their grades in math. And I'm like, nah, they will figure it out if they need to. And Özlem was like, no, you can't do that. So you're right.
So I've changed like 180 degrees.
Yeah.
That's it precisely.
Yeah.
That depending on the environment we're in, one side or the other comes out. And how do we actually balance our lives in such a way that there is room for both sides to have turns to come out?
Yeah. And
So that you're not doing all the relaxing and your wife is not doing all the stressing.
Yeah.
That there is a balance, that you need to do a little bit of the stressing and a little bit of the relaxing, and same for her.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not just about me stepping up. She needs to step down to give room for me to step up in a way as well. Because otherwise we're both going to step up. And what's the point of having immaculate home if you don't enjoy just being you and just being present with each other?
I'm gonna be very argumentative, and I'm gonna say, and it's
Go
not
for
just
it.
for me to step down, it's also for my spouse to step up and do that
Yeah.
Yeah, to be
All
honest,
everything at once.
yeah, now I'm
Right.
just gonna be open here. I didn't feel the need to step up because everything was just sorted out above the level that I was my expectancies. I was like, but why can't we just do this instead of do that
Yeah.
together?
But I
So
mean, the
yeah,
conversation is quite important as well,
yeah,
right? The
yeah,
Mm.
communication, speaking to each other, talking about that, seeing it. Because I mean, I I don't clean. Me and Bella had that conversation. He's like, no, it just doesn't bother me at all. And if I haven't ever lived with anybody who was a pedantic person and needed to have the immaculate home, but I don't clean the windows. My ex-husband did. They haven't really, maybe they've been cleaned once or twice in the 6 years that we've been separated, but that's about it because it just doesn't happen with me. So, of course, he's gone. I'm still not stepping up, right? In
Mm.
that essence, because it doesn't matter to me. It's not important to me. So, yes, of course, if you're in a relationship, and we all are, you have to also find those balances. It's like, okay, this is important to you. I will then step up because it is important to you and you are important to me.
yeah,
So
Exactly.
so that you can step down because I see that you're getting really stressed out about this, and that's not.
yeah. We're
But so again,
discovering.
it's this dance
Yeah,
of communication, of getting to know each other, of finding out what's important, what's not important, and how can we make sure that we don't kind of fall into ruts where we're
Mm.
just playing the part. Um, because that's the part that I was playing. And maybe that was the part that I loved 10 years ago. Today, not so much, but we're still doing the same story.
yeah.
I kind of want to circle back to something that you said, Aslam,
Okay.
that really, really kind of struck a note for me. You said, she's doing it at such a high standard that I didn't see the need.
Yeah,
And actually, I think this is what I love about Esther Perel's work, because she talks about how when one of us kind of, eh, I'm going to sound maybe a little bit critical, and I'm going to apologize for that. But when you say that, it's like almost as if you want to kind of say, well, I'm going to check out of this need because it's done. I'm going to
yeah,
uninvolve myself in a sense. But actually, that can be very destructive
yeah. Well, it
to a
depends.
to a relationship,
Yeah,
because if you see that somebody is doing to such a high degree, maybe you coming up will actually even them out as well.
yeah. Well, I can give.
Instead of, if you, the more you check out, the more they're gonna go up. So like
Mm.
there is
Yeah,
this.
I agree. And, I should just give one example like I did
Yeah.
before. She now she leaves the dishes, and before I go to bed, because I go to bed an hour later than her, I'll pick them up because that's when I'm in the mood for doing that.
Sure.
In a way, so you need to find the balance. Like that's the way I want to dance. The dance gets done, but not the way she wants to. But we still dance. Maybe she will can give you some room for me to dance the way I want to dance. That's what I
Yeah.
meant
And I
with that.
actually think you're onto something there, because part of a lot of this and the issues with a lot of relationship, I think, is I want it done the way I want it done.
Yeah, but it
Which
gets
is a
done.
problem. If I'm in a twosome and I want it done the way I want it done, but I don't want to do it, the other person can really get into a bind because they do it the way they want it done. And then I get upset because they didn't do it the way I want it done. And you're in,
Yeah,
that's a negative spiral, if ever. So relaxing a little bit about that is like your wife is like, I saying, okay, as long as the dishes gets done, it doesn't
but
have to be the way I would do it for it to be perfect. It's like, as long as they're done, I don't care about the rest.
yeah,
And then if you do it when she's asleep, perfect. So I think that's also part of that dance. It's like, how do you fold the sheets? That's been an issue in my family. It's like weird shit like that, right? And I was the
There are
one who had the
multiple
weird
ways to
shits
fold
about it.
sheets.
How to fold sheets, how to fold towels,
You
all
fold
of
sheets?
yes, you fold sheets.
Yes, you do.
There's a box, and you just
No,
sort
no,
of
no,
lump
no,
them
no.
in
Like,
there.
No, you fold sheets.
at one stage, I even had this machine that made it really like iron crisp, that you fed it into a machine. I had that, but that it broke down. So that was my dance. I love to do that. I could spend like 10, 15, 20 minutes every time after laundry to just do that because that was relaxing for me.
Yeah.
And
So
she didn't do it. She just put it
we're
in the closet. I'm like, "Well, okay, I could take him down and do that because that was my dance."
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
Yep,
So the problem would be
beautiful.
if you were to force her to do that
Mm.
work when she wouldn't want to do that work. It's fine if you do it, but if you need to force the other, you're on to rocky territory, I would say. Speaking from personal experience.
Yeah, and again, speaking about it
Yeah. Yeah. Communication.
constantly, I think,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
depends. If you
love
just go
this.
round and round and round, then maybe you shouldn't speak about it. If you always end
drop
up in
the
a fight,
conversation.
yeah, maybe just
Yeah, but then
accept the way it
again,
is.
same thing there. Then you're in a rut. How can
Yeah.
you then? One of you has to. Something has to shift in order for you to not have the same conversation or argument over and over again.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be also equal or equitable engagement from both sides. If one side checks out, which has been my unfortunate experience, then it's very unequal conversation because, and that was something Helena pointed out to me very gently. The first conversation we had before I did the pod was that I was the only one engaging in the interaction, that the other side had checked out. And maybe, Aslam, that's why also I was a little bit very sensitive to what you said about, well,
Yeah, that's fine.
because I have had this prior experience of, oh, wait, the other side checked out. Now I'm actually kind of sitting here talking to a wall. That's different. And so if we are to assume that both parties are equally engaged and equally willing to find the balance, then you're absolutely right. Like, then we just find our way to dance the dance and the things that we do easily. Like for you, folding sheets is relaxing.
Yeah.
For her, putting the sheets in a box is relaxing. Right.
Yeah, well, like another example is I invested a lot in our laundry room because and she's like, why did you spend so much money? I want it to be nice, and now I'm there most of the time and folding and fixing the laundry because that's relaxing for me in a way.
How do you invest in a laundry room?
Oh,
Just tell me about, because I can't even. You buy a washing machine and you buy a drying.
no, you have to have like ergonomic heights. You need to have like drawers. Where do you how do you say sort your dirty laundry? How do you hang it up?
You
We need to.
sort your dirty laundry.
Yeah.
Well, Caspian has black or black, so it's very easy for him.
Yeah. Okay. But you need like white 40, white 60. You need colored. You need black. You need to sort it, especially when you have kids that just wear a sweater 2 hours and then put it in the basket. That's another conversation, obviously. But yeah, like good lighting, fixing the tiles.
Good light. What? Are you shooting
you can-
videos of your clean laundry? What's going on in there?
So you can spot the stains. Come on.
That is
Well, they're in the
important to me.
dirty laundry. Obviously, there are stains. Just put them in.
No, it just stains on the floor
spray.
because
I
the floor
don't
was
think-
just like painted on a concrete floor. It was like all the stains was like coming up from the floor. I thought it was not nice enough. I didn't feel relaxed and could just like be present in the folding because that annoyed me. It was environment. It was the feng shui. I don't know what it was, but
Yeah,
it wasn't-
I mean, yeah.
And then I fixed that, and now I'm like, I can spend the time there. He's like, oh, can I come up? I'm folding the laundry, obviously. I'm sorting the socks. And and
You're my mom. That's her happy place as well.
And that's my dance. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it's not like me
Yeah,
checking
I
out.
mean-
That's just you didn't dance
Yeah.
the same rhythm
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah.
That's my dishes in the dishwasher come in a very specific place. Every plate has its own place, every fork, every
Well, there you go.
and the rest of the house is a complete mess. My
Not the
dishwasher,
dishwasher.
I mean,
No,
I'm
but
super
that people-
that
I'm
is
super
that
particular
is
about the
your
dishwasher too. So I can 100. I'm not trying to sort of um, uh, put any sort of shame to your laundry room. I'm genuinely curious about how to invest in a laundry room in order. I mean, it's just
I'll
mind-boggling.
send you some pictures.
Please do, please do.
Do you have
'Cause-
before and after pictures?
Maybe I will. Yeah, maybe. I'll
Yeah.
see if I can find
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
but it
yeah,
all
wonderful.
boils down to like where we find peace and where we find expression and where we find
Yes,
you're able to slow down in your laundry room, and I am
be
able to,
present.
right? And
Yeah.
I'm able to look at that dishwasher and know that every single fork is going to get washed right. And, you know, if my sheet music is on piles on the chairs instead of it being neatly arranged in the closet, I just haven't gotten around to it. I can still find it there, even though it's an eyesore, right?
Mm.
And so we all come. I mean, there's just so many minutiae that we can get completely stuck in that we have to make choices of what to engage with and what
For
really
sure.
doesn't matter
Yeah,
and what
For
we
sure.
can live with in its imperfect shape. But we're all seeking in our own way, including your wife and including my ex-partner. We're all seeking that moment of like not running and not doing things mechanically, but rather doing them with some kind of a purpose and in a way expression, because your laundry room is a way of expressing yourself, and so is my stupid dishwasher, and so is my music, and so is the way that, you know, we all have these quirks and they come in different ways, but they are the unifying thing is exactly that we all want to slow down and engage and make it meaningful rather than mechanical.
Mm.
I guess you guys arranging your dishwasher probably takes more time than just washing dishes by hand.
Don't. Oh yeah, you guys, Caspian and
Don't
Bella.
even don't even
go there.
get me started on that one.
Ooh, touchy topic.
Yeah, I sensed that. I just wanted to push the boundary and see how far I could push that. I just put it right in there and just press the button. So that's what I mean. We dance differently.
Yeah, for
you
sure,
know.
for sure.
And Bella, back to what you said before. Me and my wife never had a discussion on if we should dance or not. We just said, how should we dance? And as long as you have that conversation, then you can find a way of dancing. But if one of you just doesn't want to dance, then you have bigger issues than who does what in the house, I think. In a way.
That is true.
That is true.
That is
And I can just realize something else. My wife at one point said to me, you have never changed the bed sheets and those things. And I'm like, okay, all right. So I put a timer on with repetition every second week and like, oh, today's. So she hasn't done it for the last 1.5 years. I will not say anything,
Wow.
but I have that letter because I put it in because that's the way I work. And then get a reminder and like, oh, then I will do it. So that was my revenge. I think it's a good wrench though.
I think she agrees, actually.
Yeah.
I'm guessing she's quite happy. It's like,
I think
I
she
got
won.
him.
I
I
think
got
she
him.
won. I think I
show
won,
her
but
out,
she's
change
won.
the sheets, and she won't even know about it.
Yes, my way. That's how I operate.
I would
Kill
like
them with kindness. So now it gets done by me. I can just check that one off. Like, no. Don't go there anymore.
I can just see so many of these conversations coming up when or if me and my girlfriend move in together. I'll be the exact same way. It'll take one hint and I'll be onto it with
With gusto.
gusto and reminders.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Um,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
sort of coming back to I don't even know how we got into this. But sort of coming back to the conversations and the podcast. Um, do you feel like anything changed over the course of the 5 conversations?
No, not really. Um, well, if I have to find something, it was just me having even more trust that it would be a good conversation that I had in the beginning, especially in the second conversation where I thought that what are we going to talk about this time because we talked about everything in the first one. But in the fifth one, I was like, let's do this. It's going to be really, really interesting to see what we'll talk about. I give trust to the exploration or just the finding rather than beforehand. It was like, what are we going to do now? So yeah, maybe that's the only thing I think.
Has
Mm.
the podcast conversations seeped out into your life outside of the podcast conversations?
How do you mean by sipped out?
Seeped out. Has it rippled? Has it made any have you had more meandering conversations with somebody else as a result of realizing that, oh, I love having meandering conversations. I'll do some more. Or something that we've talked about that has
Yeah,
kind of
I think so, but then I don't know if it's like a confirmation bias suddenly that I've had them, and now that I like I'm like you're pregnant and you see pregnant women everywhere. You buy the
yeah,
particular
you
brand of a
know
car and you
all
see the
about
car
that one.
everywhere. Yeah, so I don't know if it's that or that if I actually had them, but I would like to believe that I have had like slowing down a bit more in the conversations from my perspective. But I have a background as a coach as well, and you sort of pick out when you say someone, "Hey, how are you doing?" "Yeah, it's okay," and you can sort of like feel, yeah, it's that wasn't the way they said. Okay, they usually said it. So I don't know if I have that or if I have a confirmation bias or if I actually do have more conversations. Don't know,
Mm.
Helena, to be honest, but I hope I do. That would be the best answer.
I feel like the answer to that cannot be really direct because there's so much indirect effect that happens later
Hmm.
or it happens through different lenses that it's really hard to correlate this to that. Um, for me, I really relate to the what you said, Aslam, about kind of trusting that I didn't have to like prepare a speech or prepare a topic. I didn't have to sit in my mind and think, oh, what am I going to say? I could just show up as I was, and that was plenty to begin a dance.
Mm.
Mm.
And that felt really beautiful. That is something that I have not enough of in my life. And it was a lovely balancing of this notion that how I show up in my messy glory of whatever mood I am in today and however my hair looks and whatever is happening to me, I show up and I can still have a meaningful experience. And I can trust that how I show up is going to be sufficient to produce something positive, interesting, hopefully, at least interesting to us who do it,
Yeah.
um, and productive in a sense too.
Mm.
I hope that answers your question,
Mhm.
Caspian.
For sure does. What about you, Helena? Look like you have thinking going on.
Yeah, and I mean one of the one of the things that I really I really feel after having done this now for 3 seasons is that I'm probably slow. This is perhaps paradoxical. In one way, I am slowing down more work-wise right now, not slowing down so much. But in other ways, I am slowing down. In having conversations with friends, I am slowing down. I am allowing myself even more time to see what the answer is when somebody asks me, "How are you?" rather than go by rote. Um, so these conversations, and I mean, I have, this is the 79th, or no, this is the 80th I'm having of these. It has for sure impacted my life greatly in this past year and a half, and will continue to do so. And I see me clearer because I hear myself say things, because I am mirrored, and I'm mirrored differently by different people. Because a lot of when I have conversations with 2 or 3 of you in the span of a week or 2, not that much has happened in my life, so kind of the same thing can come up. And then so I get different perspectives on things that matter to me. So it's extremely valuable, but also helpful to me. Even though I don't do this because it's helpful to me. I do this because it piques my interest, because I so enjoy finding out where we end up at the end of a conversation. And you realize, oh my God, how many weird things did we just meander around? It's like, so the process of allowing what wants to happen, I think is probably the greatest boon for me in all of this. That's the thing. And I'm allowing that more and more outside of these conversations as well, because I bathe in this. I do a conversation every week, at least. So that's one of the things that I can see it ripples out into the rest of my life. And I really cherish that. I enjoy that. I like that, what wants to happen. Which is, this conversation is a perfect example of that. How did we end up in laundry rooms and dishwashers? Because what wants to happen happens and is allowed and welcomed.
Yep. It was still funny.
It's great fun. It's great fun. That's the whole point. That's the whole point to it. It's like there's more fun when you do that.
For sure.
And it is fun. And it's fun to see. It's thrilling to see what happens when, okay, let's throw Bella and Özlem together and see what happens. Oh, this happens. Who would have known? It's like, Bella is your wife. It's like, who would have known, Özlem, right?
But sometimes I want to be Özlem, actually. I don't want to be his wife.
Yeah.
I think he can be
Just
a role
don't give a
model
damn.
for sure.
I don't know about that, Özlem. Speaking of your laundry room, there is not very much not giving a damn right there.
Yeah, but I do that for myself. I don't do that for her. That is my time, my space, and my Zen mode. So I had to sort of build it up from scratch the way I wanted to.
Yeah.
And she was not involved at all, which was nice, because she was like, "Why do you spend money on this?" I'm like, "Oh, well, why? What money we have money to spend? Why not?" And I love every second of it. So yeah. And so that's my moment. I don't do it to be part of the household. I love doing it because it gives me that relaxation. For every sock I fold, something just drips down my shoulders in a way.
That's a lovely way.
Mm.
Yeah, I think so too.
For sure.
But Bella, just don't give less, care less.
Great advice.
Right away, care
Or
less.
care more about the things that you care about.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're actually role
Doing.
modeling, Özlem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You care about the laundry so that you've cared more about it because you care about it, which then makes you drop your shoulders even more when you stand there and enjoy your great lighting and lovely tiles. Yeah.
But also, doesn't always have to dance the way you want to dance, as long as you dance. And like that is one of the takeaways I have with my relationship is we can still dance, but we can dance a different way. Sometimes we dance solo, sometimes we dance together, but we just dance. But it's if one of us stops dancing, that's when you should
Yeah.
get worried.
Yeah.
But don't
Yeah.
focus on the way the other person dances, because why? They want to move the way they want to move to the music. I want to move the way I want to move to the music.
What becomes really beautiful is when you sort of are able to incorporate the way the other person dances and make your own self-expressive steps with and around that.
Mm.
And I am happy to have experienced that in my life as well until it stopped being that way. That was how it was.
Mm.
And that's the beauty of it
Mm.
because we all live in a society and we all live interactively, and that's how we thrive.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just that beauty of how dancing with another person changes your own dance is actually fascinating. And I think it sort of is the same as what you talked about with the meandering conversations, Helena, where how did we start at A and got to Z, and what route did we take? Right. And there was room for both of us to stir the conversation. And today it was room for all four of us to stir it.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun to see where we meandered.
For sure.
And I think that's the biggest value of what you have created here.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. I think we should start rounding off. I have one more question for you guys, and it's well, both of the three of you have touched on it. But it's if or rather mentioning one or two things. What do you bring with you from having had these conversations? What's a nugget? What's a skill, a feeling, a reminder that you bring from these conversations?
Can I go first?
Yeah.
That was actually something new to me that I had not experienced. I am a violinist, so I know how my violin sounds when it's under my ear, as well as how it sounds when it's recorded, which is different.
Mm.
But I didn't know how my voice sounds when I hear it inside and how it sounds when I hear it outside. And that was a big lesson.
Mm.
I found myself hearing very clearly how the quality of my voice changes when I have a feeling of conflict or when I have a feeling of tension, as opposed to when I'm just kind of having a conversation. And it might seem like something very mechanical or technical, but I think it spoke of a much bigger picture for me. And it was a cool way of sort of introspection for me. And I think I wasn't as aware of how my voice carried through and how the quality of my tone of voice influenced what I was saying to others when I am not in a recorded conversation that I cannot hear. And I'm really glad that I got this chance because I wasn't going to just record myself talking or singing ever. So this was an opportunity to experience this part of me that I wouldn't have otherwise. And I definitely can see myself benefiting and taking that in as something I'll carry with me.
Have you listened to all of the conversations, Bella?
Nope. I've listened to the first two, not for the last, well, I don't know if
No,
the last one is even up yet, but
it's not up yet. Not when we're recording this, but it will be in 2
I know
weeks.
where to find them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, for me, I've become less humble. What I what I mean by that is, what I mean by that is like when I've had spoken to friends and they always said like, it's really cool to talk to you. It's different to talk to you. And I never understood that in a way, because I said, but this is nothing. This is me. What's so impressive about it in a way? And then when I wanted to talk to Helena, and you said I really want to have some conversations with them, like, where does this come from? So by getting the chance to listen to myself, I sort of understood a little bit of what other people mean. I got a little bit glimpse of what other people mean when they say that I'm nice to talk to, or that it's different to talk to me than talk to someone else. I suddenly got a glimpse of that and understood that I'm pretty good at it, which will give me the confidence of doing it more and with other people in a way. So that's what I mean when I said I'm less humble, because I never understood what other people talk about. Like, yeah, you say that to everyone. You don't mean that in a way, but now I sort of get a little glimpse of what they actually mean, and it's one of my proud powers that I really want to use even more. In a way, just by listening to myself and thinking, wow, that that is not that bad. It's not that ordinary in a way. So I will take that with me. I hope you understand what I mean with that and saying being less humble in a way. But also the importance of, like we talked about before, just slow it down in this fast-paced world. That has been one of the good things about the pandemic, because a lot of people understood what slowing down is. They're forced to slow down. So there's always something good coming with something bad. I think that's basically it. Slowing down, having conversations without having an agenda, just talking. It was such a relief, and just letting it take you wherever it took you in a way. So those two things, less humble and slowing down.
Mm. Have you listened to the podcast, Özlem? Have you listened to your episodes?
The first two,
First two. Okay,
I
you
haven't
both
had
have some
it.
homework.
Yes, yeah, I have other homework as well. I know, but yeah, but it's definitely on my list to listen to them. And the thing was, I can reveal this as well. Like when I did the first one before I listened to it, I was like, I hope no one listens to this that knows me. And then after listening to the first one, I just sent out, hey, listen to this. I'm in a podcast. You should listen to this. Like I was
Great.
like, sort of
Great.
like could advertise it with conscious, but before I listened to it, I was like, I hope no one that knows me listens to this. I will not tell any soul. And then just changed after I listened to it. Like, well, this is listenable
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
way.
And it's interesting, that thing, because there are so many podcasters also who say, "Oh, I never listen to my own podcast. I don't ever want to listen to it. I don't ever want to listen to myself if I'm guest podding with somebody else either." It's like, and I think both of you have actually proven part of the points of why it's a good idea to listen to yourself, because you learn about yourself. You
Yeah.
learn about yourself and you hear the interaction in a way that you can't when you're in it. You get to hear your voice. You get to hear what, I do this thing where I pause and I look up to the left corner when I'm thinking. It's like, okay, that comes across in video, of course, but it also comes across when I'm just listening to the post. I can hear myself thinking, um, which I like that. So whenever I hear people say that, oh no, I would never want to listen to myself, it's like, do actually do take the time to do that, because something happens or something can happen.
Yeah, well, you get to know yourself much better. Yeah, in a way.
Oh,
Mm.
sorry.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for sure that's one of the things that happened to me when I started listening to my own podcasts. Getting to know me in a different way was quite profound, for sure.
Seeing ourselves from the outside.
Exactly.
I think I have to run because I have to wake up a teenager from a slumber.
There we
Have
go.
fun doing so.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Ever to joy.
Ever the joy.
And before Caspian, I would love to listen to your podcast on how it is to move in with someone. That would be a great pod.
It's going to be a couple of years in the making, but for sure I'll try to document it as thoroughly as possible.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea. Might turn into a somewhat a sticky podcast if not both parties are involved or okay with it.
Just record it and release it years later.
Possibly. Yeah.
For
Well,
sure.
I
Or I'll
want to
just
say
record it and send it to Özlem.
Oh,
you can do that. You can do that. Private
I'll
pod
li-
feed.
I'll listen to it while
Exactly.
I'm in the laundry room.
Perfect.
Well, I want to say thank you to both of you for wanting to play with me and dance with me.
Well, thank you.
Thanks
It's
for
been-
inviting me.
It's been great fun. And me and Özlem, we still haven't managed to get that improv thing going. So
Who would have thought the improv community was so less non-improv?
it's so fascinating. We've been trying to get to improv here in Malmö, and everybody says, no, you have to take a 10-week course before you can come to our improv. Okay.
Yeah, either they're wrong.
That doesn't make sense.
Either they're wrong or we're so naive.
I think you're very naive. I'm sorry to say, but you guys, I mean, improv doesn't mean no preparation. It just means
Yeah, but they
doing
don't even
things in a
say,
less
come here
structured-
and watch us. Come here and see what it is. It's like, I don't even
What-
know if I would like to do a 10-week course. Well, that's what
you're
you have
doing
to
right
do.
now, Caspian, is telling us to do the hand dishing rather than organizing the dishwasher. That's what you're doing right now.
I mean, I prefer doing hand wash dishes. So yeah, I'm fine with that.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Well,
All right,
well,
guys.
it's been a total pleasure both to have those conversations with you and also to meet you, Özlem and Caspian. And thank you for your time. This has been really lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
It
guys.
has. Well,
All right.
so bye-bye.
Take
See
care.
you around.
Definitely.
See you around. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Take care.
I collect interesting people. I connect to interesting people. And I relate to interesting people. Oh, but I'm not interesting, maybe you think. But honestly, quite a lot of people are interesting. Maybe Caspian wouldn't agree with me, but we've had conversations about that. But I do find many people interesting. And everybody who I have on these podcasts, of course, I find interesting. Otherwise, it would be a bore to spend 5 conversations with them. And it isn't. It's always rich and rewarding. And I do believe that the Tankesbjörn community monthly meetups, those conversations are a lot like this pod, only with a few more people involved. So if you feel like dipping your toe into this world of Tankesbjörn, check out the Patreon community, or the Tankesbjörn community on Patreon. You can find it on patreon.com/Tankesbjörn, or you can find it on tankesbjörn.com under community. Click there and you'll find a link to the Patreon page. I would love to see you there. And with that, I say goodbye.